Welcome to the Helix webinar series. Today's session is on Ask the Experts. We're going to be focusing on BMC Helix Digital Workplace Catalog, although we do have experts as well on DWP. Reason for setting this session up was recently we did a webinar. This webinar was run by Gaurav, who is on this call today, and we felt there was a lot of questions on catalogs, so we wanted to focus on a session directed for our customers and partners to ask any general questions. So it's very much an interactive session, so we do hope you've got a few questions for us. Before we get started, reminder, we do have the Q&A section of Zoom that you can use to put your questions in if you don't want to speak. Ideally, we would love to hear your voices. We will do an introduction. We do have one question that came in prior to the event, and we will spend the next 30 to 45 minutes or however long that you have these questions. We do have up to an hour today. So I hope this is useful for you. We will get started with the introductions. So firstly, my name is Samantha Hudson dos Santos Figueira. I work as a program manager. Most of you may have joined some of the events in the past. It's either webinars or Ask the Expert sessions. We run this across all of our products. So hopefully you'll get to join some more sessions if you haven't already. I also do help support in creating content. So if you do ever have any how-to videos, we put these all on YouTube and we specifically target problem areas. So I'd love to hear your feedback at the end if you have any questions. So I'm now going to hand over to the next person, which is Mikola. Mikola, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Mikola. Also, I often present myself as Nick. As a short name, I work as a developer in DWP and then also check DWP Catalog, working in that area for 10 years already.
Thank you. Carl, if I can go over to you, or CAF for short.
I just need to find the unmute button. Hey, I'm Carl. I work as the product manager for Digital Workplace together with Deepak, that is in the US. And I work together with this team quite a lot to plan what's coming in the product in the future. And as you know, we use the ideas on communities as a big source of input. But discussions like this is also very important because we collaborate with you as customers, we hear what you say, and that makes it a lot easier to deliver things that is needed in the product. And then people like Nick is going to develop it for us. So it's good with the support team and the development team and the product planning team in the same call, I think.
Great, thank you. Really good impact. So Gaurav, over to you if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. Hello, everyone. So my name is Gaurav Gupta, and I'm basically a technical support analyst. And I have been into this role from past, I think, 8 to 9 years. And recently, I have done this webinar on common workflow creation use cases and best practices. So, yeah.
Thank you. And then finally, over to you, Hugh.
I'm Hugh Fairfield. I'm a product development architect with BMC. I'm working with the SEAL team with customers customizations and trying to find ways to resolve problems that you guys have. So
wonderful, thank you. So hopefully we should be able to cover a majority of the questions that we get today. Any that we don't answer, we will take away as an action. So firstly, I want to just get started. So Gaurav, you mentioned in your introduction about the workflows and best practice. Can we maybe start with just a recap for those that didn't join that session? I know we did it recently, and again, I will share that out to the audience today so they can go and watch that after this session. But do you want to just talk about what you covered and a little bit about the best practice?
Yes. Yeah, basically from the session, right, we have covered some best practices for creating a workflows, basically to have the workflow create in such a way that you don't have to redesign it multiple times. So you could use the workflow, maybe create a specific workflow that can be used multiple times, and also use some annotations where anyone who's going to come new who would be understanding the flow that you have designed as per the logic and whatever the basically the logic that was applied that time. So it would be good for the understanding for the person. And also whatever you have ideas in mind, right? That needs to be properly decided first, and then you start implementing the things. So some of the best practices like that we have covered from the 2 use cases that you could see that in the video also that Samantha is going to share. One out of that, like one was for the configuring the reusable work order workflow. So in that, like we have created a workflow, showed a workflow which is there in the blog as well, which has the steps where you can simply like as on the basis of the questions, you can just simply select the question and that will create a work order for you. So you can mention how many work orders that you need to create and that will create it for you. And that will have been that will be handled in the single workflow itself. So we have used the multi-instance loop. So for that, so that can be really helpful at the time of creating the several and basically huge workflows. So another use case I have explained is about the using the multi-instance loop to create a multiple business workflow cases. So using the multiple instance loop that has a power of creating basically it's very simple technique, but it will be very useful when you have several cases to create or several work orders to create. So it's really good to go and check it out. It has a lot of new or existing elements that we have used in that. So it's a good reference. And then at the end, I have also explained the importance of the process log, where like what you should look for in the process logs and how you can enable it and how you can retrieve it. So those are the details also it was mentioned there. So it is a really quick reference. So when you develop the workflows, right, sometimes it fails somewhere and then you don't understand what's happening in the backend. So that process logs would be the good choice to go with the very first. So that is all about this webinar that I did in the past. So,
Thank you. I know it was only a couple of weeks ago, and actually while we're on our discussion together, is there anything else that you see common cases that you've been resolving around Catalog? Anything else that might be quite useful to share to the audience? Any best practice?
Yeah, in the best practices, right? I mean, the having the less workflows, right? When you design the workflows, like it shouldn't be like don't club everything into the same workflow. Use the call activities to call the workflows, because we have seen several times that usually some customers have developed the workflows like it's very difficult to manage, where all the code has been, everything has been designed in the single workflow, and then when you try to manage it, sometimes the performance is not as good as it's supposed to be when you open a workflow or when you troubleshoot or do any changes. So it's not really good to go with the everything in the same workflow. Just keep using the call activities and sub-processes that will actually solve, most of the cases where you can simply you can simply exchange the workflows. Like maybe you design something for the specific module, you can just utilize that. So some of the use cases like that we have observed in the near in the support side, and yeah, that is what one of the thing I just came in my mind.
Okay, that's great. I mean, obviously, if anything comes up, additionally, if anyone's got any questions around this area, feel free to raise your hand. I know we've got a hand, Mohammed. I'll come to you in a sec, but we have lots of cases that come in with workflow specifically. We also have DWP cases, so some of those may not just be isolated to one customer. So if you've got any challenges, please use the Q&A section or raise your hand, and we'll try and get those answered. And thank you for sharing your insights, Gaurav. I'm sure we'll come back to you shortly. So before I move over, we've got a great segue. John put a question into the chat, or the Q&A section of communities. John, you had a question around are there any plans for allowing customer character on non-selection fields for entitlements? I don't know if you want to come off mute. This may be a question, actually, a nice segue to Kaf to answer that for you. And hello. Can you hear us okay, John? I don't know if you have audio issues. Do you want to try and unmute yourself again? I can see you've come off mute, but we can't actually hear you. I don't know if you've got connection issues. John, while we see if we can remove that challenge, I don't know, Kath, if I can ask you to just maybe talk, because John might be able to reply onto the chat or the Q&A in response to your query, because I know we discussed that before we started the session today. Do you want to just take that one? Kath? You're on mute.
Same with me. I can't get off mute. Can you read the question again so everybody knows what the question?
Yeah, so John's question was, are there any plans to allow custom character or non-selection fields to be used for entitlements?
So this is, as I understand it, I mean, custom characters, does that mean custom fields, or does it mean actually custom characters? I don't know if that, what specifically that refers to, but the entitlements are, we don't really have much plans to improve the entitlements themselves right now, because they are pretty flexible. You can use essentially any field to drive the entitlements. So I think we need a little bit more detailed use cases to understand exactly what you look for. But do you have an idea out on communities already? Because if you have that, please update that idea with a little bit more detail, and ideally also a business case behind it, so we understand why this is important to you. And then hopefully all other customers that need this can chime in and say, I need it for that, I need it for this. If that happens, that is the best way for me to judge what we have to prioritize in an upcoming release. So if you want to ping that idea already in the chat, John, or if you want to update it, it will send a notification to me immediately, and especially if you put my name on it, it will come to my inbox and I will respond to it.
John, I don't know if you can hear us. I can see you keep coming on and off mute. I don't know if you want to rejoin if you can't physically
we can't hear
talk.
You. Sam.
Oh, you can't? Really? Interesting.
Sam, you're on mute, or?
No, I'm not on mute. I wasn't.
Okay, now I can.
So I think John's got problems with communicating. So I think John, if you want to put something into the chat, if you're unaware of the ideas process, I'm more than happy to spend a bit of time and show you how that works. Or if you want to try during this session to try and come off mute, that would be wonderful. And thank you for your question on the community. We'll now move over to, I can see a couple of other hands raised. Mohammed, can you hear us? And do you want to come off mute? I saw you raise your hand.
I did. Hi, thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to ask. It might not be appropriate, but obviously I'm sorry to this, but I'm going to take this opportunity. Is there, for failed service requests that fail due to some errors, in what we had in SRM or Remedy 8.1, there we were able to resend that service request once the fault has been fixed or the error has been fixed, to regenerate and create a work order, create an incident, whatever the workflow does. But my understanding is that in DWP it can't be done. Is that right? You can fix the error, and then you potentially have to get the user to resubmit their request again. We can't kind of automatically resubmit that request. Did I?
Yeah, I understand exactly what you asked for, Mohammed. I don't know what version you are on, but we have a capability.
22.
Yeah, we have a
I'm on
capability.
Digital Workplace 20.1.
Sorry,
I think.
22.1.
Yeah.
We have a new capability where you can, as an administrator, restart the workflow from the beginning. So you can do it on behalf of the customer. You don't really have to go and ask the end user to do it. So what you fix the problem, and then you resubmit the request, essentially restart it.
What version? What version is that capability?
I can't remember from my head now. I think we've added about 100 new features. I don't remember which version. You or Gaurav, do you remember what version we added that feature in, or Nick? I will have to look that up. Take that as
process,
option,
right?
Samantha.
It's restart process. We have added restart process UI button in DWP Catalog in 21.3. 21.3 version, I think. Yeah.
20 points. 20.
So it must be already there in 22.1. But it's basically restarting of process. It might depend on the process and in what specific place it was failed. So sometimes it might be causing additional issues, like if process was doing half of the job and then failed, then if you just restart it, it will restart from very beginning. So it will repeat same kind of job. Some parts of the job will be just repeated. So it may depend on the situation whether it is okay or not okay to restart it this way.
Okay, so the capability has been introduced. Obviously, the version number. I need to find out which version it is, but I understand your point of it might not be always possible to restart it depending where the error is.
Yeah, I mean, if you update something and it expects to checking if that has been updated, it can of course not run it again. But it depends on the logic in the workflow, I think. I mean, if you fix the issues so it can run, it will work, I think. But you don't always know exactly beforehand what's needed to run it. I guess that's what Nick is saying.
All right. Okay, as long as it's, I'll look at the community and see what version it was delivered in.
Yeah, look at the release notes of 21.3. I'm pretty sure there is a blurb in the beginning of the release notes. So what's new in 21.3? And if it was in one of the patches, you have all of them on the same page.
I have another question. Can I, Sam, or do I?
Of course you can.
Give it to somebody else.
Definitely. We've got. I can see hands raised, and we've got a few questions in the Q&A. But please, while you're unmuted, go ahead.
It's a quick one. Can you create a workflow to generate an email, to send an email out? Is there?
Yes. Using the send email action, you can do that.
Or in the workflow that there is an action called send email.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll have a look.
Great. That was a quick question. Thank you. If you think of any more, then obviously raise your hand. We're happy to take multiple questions. No problem.
Have I missed the demo? I did start a bit late. Or was it just a Q&A, this one?
So this session, we have like webinars around specific topics, and certainly when I promote some of the stuff coming up, Kathy's going to be doing one on some new features and updates in update 2. But those are very specific. This one is more about bringing questions to the table, sharing them with customers so it can collaborate, because, you know, what one problem might be could be for another. And then, you know, we sometimes find solutions. So it's an opportunity to talk to the experts. So it's specifically Ask the Expert session. So you've come to the right place.
And the experts are not just this panel. I mean,
It's beyond.
We have a lot of people on the call, and I'm pretty sure the next guy is going to respond to some questions as well.
I'm not one of them, but yeah, I know. But yeah, I'll go back on mute. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's okay. Thanks, Mohammed. Okay, we'll move over. Marek, nice to see you again. So Marek, I know you work for one of our partners. You have a question, so if we can go over to your question. Can you hear us okay? No, we're technically challenged today.
Yeah, the mic isn't here on the screen.
Yeah, it's not moving, is it?
It is when you, I don't know if you're using Zoom normally and Teams, sometimes it's not always switching the microphone correctly.
Absolutely. So it may be that it's connected through the laptop, or sometimes I know my audio ports change. Marek, I know you don't normally have issues with being able to talk on these calls. If you want to try to reconnect, I do want to come back to you, but I'll move over to our next question and we'll come back again because we definitely can't see your microphone moving. Mario, I can see you have a question. We'll come to you now. Hello, can you hear us? Oh, another person. Interesting. Okay, I think don't think it's Zoom, because we can all talk and others are able to communicate. I don't know if it is audio settings for everyone.
Can you type in the chat window instead? I think that's
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Hello, Mario.
Hi, sorry, I went through 3 different microphones I have here. Sorry about that. All right.
Hello.
Glad we have that fixed. Thank you very much for the opportunity to ask a question. I already asked this question to CAF. I was hoping maybe that there's an expert here. At the time, I wasn't able to talk to Pawan yet. So what I'm trying to do is, within the DWPC, I created a service that I tried to put HTML code or create a table, because the customer's complaint / requirement is they want to have better text that is easier to read on the fulfillment request. CAF has already mentioned that is part of the Innovation Studio bit. To me, I'm trying to figure out your way. I've tried several things. I tried HTML code to put things in a table, try to put things in bold. Is there a way that was either that this can be, I don't know, maybe an idea can be sprung from here, or there's already something in the works of putting text when you define a service around the question, the answers that you put from a service into the fulfillment request with a certain format, either font size, bold, italic, for it to be easier to be read on the fulfillment side. I don't know if I made myself clear.
Maybe a question. Yeah, maybe a question for I don't know, Hugh or Mikola, if you know the answer to this. More of a technical question. I certainly wouldn't know the answer.
Yeah. And just kind of off the top of my head, and I'll need Nick and CAF to kind of confirm, but didn't we add RTF and support in for ITS, like things going to ITSM in a certain release?
Yeah, but what Mario is trying to do is he would like to have an action where you push information over to the fulfillment description field, for example. And in the description field, he wants to, from the workflow, decide what formatting is in place. What you were talking about is that you, in the questionnaire, can add a text area field which contains
No, not necessarily. Like what I'm thinking is, is could you not do, because the description field in the work order supports HTML, right?
Yeah, right. That's
So you could potentially like what I'm thinking, this is just off the top of my head, is you could do like a multi-instance loop and get all the questions that you want and build it up with HTML. And then, like you could, because mostly a lot of the examples that we have with the multi-instance loop and the questions and answers are just with like a new line character or whatever it is. But you could
exactly that's exactly what I was able to do. I can get new lines, but I can't get the other type of format, so other type of HTML code. So the BR usually works for a new line on the answers, but bold, italic, even a table isn't possible.
I'll have to get back to you on this one, but I believe that there's some configuration to turn on rich text on the work order side. And then what I think you can do is then you can do a lot more of the formatting on that, but I'll have to check on that.
All right. We can connect afterwards because I have access to a demo instance where I can also already put you in front of, here's what I've done, here's what I've tried, here are the outcomes. Maybe you can say, oh, this is probably the answer.
Yeah, I'll spend some time just kind of trying to figure out if what I'm talking about is possible as well.
In the chat actually, so if we can take that live and then we'll post the response after. So we have a question from an anonymous attendee. Reuse of atomic secondary workflows evoked using call activity is very useful, as you mentioned. On the other hand, use of secondary workflows makes the service tracing more difficult, as it is not feasible to view the process progress diagrams in the secondary workflow after the call activity is executed. Is there any chance to view the called workflow from the main process? So if you can just answer that live.
Yeah, I was trying to answer that several times, like just I have to admit it can be challenging. So most often what I'm doing is just tracing that workflow, secondary workflow from primary workflow, just using general process viewer in Innovation Studio UI.
Sorry, Nick, but I think too, this is where the process logs can be really valuable. So while it doesn't give you the diagram, like the visual view of everything, the process logs will tell you everything that happens during the process execution. So it'll say, you can figure out from there, here's the actions that have happened, here's the outputs. So that's one way of looking at it. The other way that you can do this as well is to go into Innovation Studio, and then into Digital Workplace Catalog, processes. And then if you click on Manage Processes, it will show all the individual processes that have executed. So you should be able to find the one that you've executed and click on it that way. So that's a couple of sort of potential workarounds for you.
Whoever asked that question, obviously, if you can just put a response to say that's confirmed, or if you've got any additional further questions, let us know. We will get the response out so everyone that's joined today can also see that as well if you're having similar use cases. Thanks, Hugh, and thanks, Mikola, for that response. Just seeing if we've got, okay, maybe we go back to Marek's question. So Marek's just put some response. I think he's also having audio issues. he said there is a one improvement requirements in entitlements definition. Now one can check entitlements for user. We need to check entitlement for service. This is really missing. So I guess that's more of a question probably for CAF, and unfortunately he's had to drop. I don't know, Hugh or Mikola, if you've got any visibility of this being put into the product in the future.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with this one. Yeah, probably. Merrick, is there an idea on this one? Do you know?
I was going to ask, yeah, if you can let us know if there's an idea. Okay, we'll wait for his response. So another question was, we are on a DWP SaaS. It is up to us to supply the Google key. Question from Chris. I don't know, Chris, if you want to come off mute.
I think it's continuation of what.
Okay. So there's another question before.
Kind of chatting with Chris.
Okay.
And the question answers.
Is there someone from our team that can take that? Just trying to find it. Okay, so Mikola, I think, is this the one leading on from the FedRAMP question? Okay, so do one of you guys want to take that? So Chris's original question, I know Mikola, you had answered that one. I think about the Google key. Do you want to just summarize that? I think that question came in a little bit earlier, Mikola.
Yes. The question is that there are issues with floor maps having floor maps showing up on their locations, and the problem is that in order to render floor maps, DWP UI has to use Google API, and to use Google API, the Google API key is needed. So I think it might be better to provide, to supply our own API key just for maintainability and security purposes. And there is a place in DWP admin UI where this API key can be set up. And yeah, it should be available in SaaS admin UI as well.
Chris, do you want to come off mute? I don't know if you're able to, if you have any further questions, if that answers your question or questions. Just trying to see if he's on. Let me try again. Can you see if you can come off mute, Chris? I don't know if everyone's having audio issues today. Hello, Chris, can you hear us? Oh, I think there's another one. It's the audio, the way it goes into different channels. I can only see one profile for Chris. Sometimes people join on multiple devices. So Chris, can you hear us at all? If you can't and you're not able to talk, there is an option to rejoin, or if you want to put your response back into the chat to say that it's answered your question.
Oh, he's saying something's blocking his mic.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I know sometimes there's quite strict policies in companies around using Zoom or different applications. I know there's, from my account, when I set this up, there's no restrictions. We give people access. It's only when they join webinars, we don't give access for audio. But okay, I'm sorry to hear that, Chris. If you just want to confirm if there's any other questions, we might have to just take it that way. Sorry to hear. Okay, so I'll go to, I can see Mohammed, you've raised your hand again. Do you want to ask your question?
I do.
Hello again.
Thank you. It's a simple one because I'm new. I'm a newbie. I put the question about in the question section. If you create a question and you've got a description box, the formatting of that text, it only allows you to do like bold, but it's not really bold when you look at the question in the service request. I want to know whether you can change the size of that text or change the font color of that text anyway.
Yeah, no, it's kind of restricted so that the kind of idea is to keep the user experience similar to what the rest of the site or what the rest of the questionnaire looks like. So it's a reduced tool set to kind of keep things looking the same. That's kind of the idea with it.
Because it allows you to text it to bold it, but it doesn't really bold it. Even though if you want to kind of highlight to the user what they really need to put in there, but it's not. It's a restricted tool.
Yeah.
Formatting.
It's by design.
Okay. Are we looking? Is that up to the latest version or the
Yeah.
Chrome version?
Oh, Merrick.
Okay.
There we go.
All right.
Does that answer
Okay.
your question, Mohammed? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Marek, it seems like you have audio now. Do you want to try and come off mute again? I don't know if you've dialed in as well. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. We can. Hello.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I connected with Andy, so it didn't work with computer. No, actually, just to clarify the question regarding the entitlement. So there is the by user list. You can check which user has which entitlement or marketplace. We really need to check which service in which marketplace is which service. So I have a service and I don't know who is allowed, and we have maybe 80 marketplaces, and now I have to click each one. No. So we build a generator which gets to the DB and generates an Excel file, but that's stupid. There should be the tab where you click and you will say this service, which marketplaces, this service, which marketplaces. And I don't know if there is an idea, but it's like this must be there, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That was the idea,
Yeah. Submit an idea. It definitely would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. And regarding the process restart, it works from 22 already, so it's available. But as you said, it will restart also things which were already done. Yeah? So it must be used clever. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So, Marek, we'll follow up with Kaf. Unfortunately, he did have to jump off, but we'll ask him about if there's any idea. If there isn't, I'll reach out with you because I know we've had dialogue in the past, and it may be worth. It's always more effective to have customers or partners to raise them. And I know Kaf is very interactive on the community, looking at the ideas. Because otherwise, if it's in lots of spreadsheets and different ways to find, he finds it a lot easier to go through it on a regular basis. So we'll get you in contact.
That's great. Yeah, I didn't want to mention it because we have a solution, but when he said there is nothing to get better, then I just it was like a trigger. Okay. Thank you very much, guys.
Well, yeah, we'll clarify, and I think it's worth putting in, and let's check with him first because there may be one that's very similar, but we'll get that checked from him. Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you for your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so John, obviously I've just seen your response back. I don't know if we're going to get any audio from you today. I'll review that community idea with Kaf, get him to have a look, and if he thinks your question is more suited to a new one, we'll come back to you. Thank you for sharing that. I can see that in the chat. Okay, so Pankaj, I can see you have a question. What if I don't want to be tracked by any analytics? If I have a filter, will that have any problems with admin setting up tracking analytics? I don't know who can answer that question from the team. And Pankaj, I don't know if you want to come off mute. You should have access. So yes, is there anyone from the team that can answer Pankaj's question?
Which one was it, Sam?
So this is the one from Pankaj Sad. What if I don't want to be tracked by analytics? You'll see that at 340.
I don't know that one. Nick, do you
Is
know
it,
that one?
is it, yeah, I'm just, so is it about something like AdBlock or any other kind of extension to the browser, which makes the browser to be less trackable or something like that? So to the best extent, I think DWP admin UI will be working fine. But well, if we imagine situation that users of DWP set up something like that in their browsers, then DWP UI uses just standard means to send analytics to Google servers. So I think these extensions will probably prevent that data from being collected, just like for any other website. Yeah, that's probably what I can comment about that.
Pankaj, if you want to come off mute, does that answer your question? If you don't want to talk, if you can just confirm back, that would be great. Thank you, Mikola. Next question, there was another one from Mohammed. Is it possible to display the submit button if you want users not to submit the request for certain question logic?
It's not possible to hide it, but should be possible to. So basically, if all the required fields are not filled in, you're not able to submit the request. So that's one way that you can restrict that, is by making a required question, and then you won't be able to submit the request until that's filled in. Does that answer your question?
Can I come back?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. No, because I wasn't referring to the mandatory set of questions. So some logic will just, if there was like a 3 options of a radio button in the question, 2 you're okay, but the third option we just want to cover off some advice, because it's part of the service stats where the service request is for. So the third option would be, actually don't do this. Can you, this is the process you should be following for this particular option, and not allow them to submit that request, submit it, but just give them some advice.
Yeah, so like if they choose one option, then you don't want them to be able to submit the request. Is that kind of accurate?
Yeah. So there's 3 options. 2 you can submit, they're valid incidents of work orders, whatever. They could. Third option, because it's part of the group, is actually some advice that we just need to relay back to the user, and not submit it.
Yeah, so you could use a like I was saying, you could use the required question, this sort of thing. So if you do a conditional branch, so let's say you have so let's say you've got a question and it's got a conditional branch where, if option equals 3, then you set that value, or you make that question available. And if it's like a hidden required question, then that would disable the submit button. Does that make sense?
Okay, so we just hide it. We would hide a mandatory question.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
so
what
they want.
I've worked with other customers and they've done something similar to that.
Yeah, okay, that's one way of working around that. Yeah, okay. All right.
May I jump in?
Yeah.
The important thing is the required question can be answered and he will be able to submit. So you have to block the question somehow, and you have 2 options: lookup, which will not find anything.
You're breaking out, sorry.
Not really nice. And the other option is to put the regex. And there is a regex which is never okay. It's like the dot and then curly brackets 0,0. So he's like put there something, but it cannot be anything, something like this. So if you put there some check with regex, which will be never
be true.
then you have a blocker, yeah. And in the field, in the text field, you can write in the description, you cannot submit because of, and you write what. Yeah? So the question will be required, but it cannot be filled, yeah, actually, correctly. That was our solution. Yeah. But the first part, which you said, it's correct, yeah.
So basically, the main tweak is, sorry, Marek, the main tweak you make is instead of making it just required, you make it a regex that'll never be matched.
Yeah, but it's required. The field is a text field, which is required.
Yeah.
There is a regex condition which will be never fulfilled. Yeah.
Got it.
One can define such. It's like 0,0, so it must be empty, but you put there a dot, which means you have to put at least one character. So it's a definition which will be never fulfilled. So you cannot make this field correct. It's a required field, and therefore you cannot submit. And then you can use the field description to write why there is this field, and that you have to contact support or whatever. Yeah? And that's how we solve this. Yeah.
Sorry, it was broken up.
Mohammed, I'll have it summarized.
Okay.
I think it's just the audio issues. Marek, I'll reach out to you because obviously these are options, maybe also useful to other customers. So I'll follow up on that.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you.
No worries. Okay, we have another question. So we'll go over to this question. Are we allowed to hide mandatory questions? So I don't know in the team who can answer that one. So I'll open up to the panel.
I think that's related to the other one. I'll work on getting a kind of a working solution for that.
Okay, let me just put that so Hugh will follow up. Okay. Thank you, Hugh. I think that covers all our questions that we had here for the moment. Was there any other questions or anyone that wants to raise their hand before I just come over to you, Hugh, about some blogs that you might be creating? Just want to give an opportunity for our customers to talk. Do we have any questions? Hello, Ellie. Ellie, do you want to come off mute? I know normally your audio is pretty good.
Hi,
I'd love to
everyone.
hear from you. Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me well?
Yeah, perfect.
Great. So I just want to ask a question because I think Mikola has already answered me previously about the Google Analytics. We just start using this today, and we have the call with the Google Analytics expert from our team asking about how to configure it. So we found out that the normal tracker for the usage is fine. We can find it in the Google Analytics, but we want to do some more investigation about the button click. So because on our DWP portal, there's few buttons. We just want to see how people navigate to the page. And we asked the experts that we can actually input some of the custom JavaScript to the CRM. So which is I think it will be DWP admin, but I cannot find anywhere we can input it. Is it possible?
Yeah, custom JavaScript, I doubt it would be possible, unfortunately.
Because they have provided me some of the script. It's about how to do the analysis from the it's called it on click event.
Yeah.
They just how to track the clicking, so the button click for somewhere. So I'm not sure if DWP admin allowed us to do anything on this. And then because the expert is just asking if it's possible that we can input some JavaScript, he has provided to me, but I'm not sure where we can input it.
Yeah, I've got the idea. Yeah, but unfortunately, it cannot be possible to inject some JavaScript in DWP. So yeah, it only collects analytics that it already collects.
Okay, so if this is something that we cannot do, is it possible that if we raise it to BMC Support, they can help us to do this?
Probably not. I think you would probably the best thing would be to submit an idea.
Okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's a limitation of the sort of the architecture that because the pods could be potentially restarted at any point, that you can't put anything on the file system. So
Right, got it. Okay, no problem. I will submit the idea in this case. Thank you very much.
I think, Ellie, just on the idea front, I know when I did a session for your team, we did show the idea process. Are you comfortable with
Yes.
that?
Yeah, I know what to do.
Check. Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you. Thanks for your question. Okay, do we have any other questions from anybody else?
I think it's pretty good.
I think we've answered them. So Hugh, I'll just sort of turn back over to you. I know that we work and collaborate quite a bit. You're doing a lot of blogs in the team. Is there anything specifically that you'd like to share with the customers and partners today?
Yeah, should I just put it in the chat window or?
I'm more than happy for you to screen share if you want to. I'm sure they're probably bored of seeing my Q&A slides. So yeah, go ahead if you want to share something, and then I'll take the link after and share that in the Q&A blog. It's a blog with a blog.
Let's share my screen.
Yep.
Figure out which one I want to share.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think it's
Let
coming
me know
up.
when
Yep.
you can see it.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay, so this is a blog post I did late December, and one of the things that it was meant to enhance is right now there's no ability to send attachments with DWP emails. So this gives you the possibility of sending it out with an attachment. The one thing that's I've had a couple of people do it and they've had some problems with is this part needs to be done by support. So it's just that you have to change a record definition from application to public. So once you just need to make a support request for that, and then once you do that, it's fully possible. But it's a pretty straightforward process to do, and it's a really it really does a lot to enhance your emails that are being sent out. Another one that I highlighted on one of the questions is we also have the Digital Workplace Catalog schema published. So it gives you the entire schema up to May 5th, 2023. And yeah, it's very valuable for figuring out where the data is for pieces and answering questions, schema related questions. That's about it. I'll share those two with the answers.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions? I think Mikola, you were answering a question. Do you want to recircle back with that, and then I'll do a screen share and just show everyone where all the content's kept. I can see you're answering a question in there. Do you want to speak live on that around Innovation Studio?
Yes, I was about to say no, not available on the 20x users, but I think in 20x Innovation Studio is only available in cloud deployments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I think it's available. Like 21.3, it's available for on-prem as well.
Yeah, I guess 20. Yeah, starting from 21.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll follow that up as a question. If we don't have any further questions, which I'm just double checking now, yes, I can see everything's been answered. I will just go back into my screen share. Okay. Can I just check that you're seeing my community page? Can't see it being highlighted at the moment. Great. So just for those that are new to all the webinar scheduling, they do go on BMC webinar page. I will actually share that as well. We put all of the on-demand links, so you can access that from the main homepage of BMC. but I tend to keep this page updated. So every session that I do, which is cross collaboration between a lot of the different businesses in BMC, and it's across all products, any sessions coming up will be put in here. It's definitely a focus area for DWP the next couple of months. I do have someone working on a specific program to get content out. So as you know, today's session is on DWP. We also have a session, so for those that are in Helix and interested in containers, we have a specific tooling session that's next week, which is on the 7th of May. And again, you can click on all of these registration links. They will take you to the registration page. This is part of a series. So if you also have ITSM as well, you'll see the series is set up with 3. If you missed the first one, which was done a couple of weeks ago, you can tick that date and it will send you to the on-demand link. So any issues, do reach out to me, but you have got multiple sessions there. We also have some more stuff with DWP. So on the 23rd, Kath, who was on earlier, our product manager, both product managers will be running this session. So it will be talking about what's in the latest update. So again, that might be of interest, what's new, some new features. And then the week after, I have a colleague from support working on the program. They will be running a specific webinar on the 29th, which will be around approval notifications. So I just ask, if you haven't already, bookmark this page. I also, any content that we've done with recordings, including today's session, will all be listed down here. So you can find those. And every year I create a brand new page. So again, if there's any content that was of interest before, if you scroll right to the bottom, you'll find all the previous series. If there isn't anything that you can specifically can find on a specific subject or information you're interested in, as mentioned at the start, we create content that is basically either how-to videos, so they're normally 2 to 5 minutes long, or we've got the webinars, which are on a specific use case or maybe a challenge. And then we have sessions like today, which is an Ask the Experts session, which gives you the free rein to ask us questions. So more than happy to hear from our audience to see how we can improve that if you can't find anything. And the same with education. I work very closely with education. So if there is any training that you're interested in, I'm more than happy to go and find it. Your thank you email that will go out either today or tomorrow will have some suggested education, which you can also use the discount that you get as part of the webinar. So that's probably all I want to share today. I just want to check with my panel, was there any other final pieces that you want to mention, and also give another opportunity as a customer if you have any questions. Otherwise we will wrap up. I'm conscious we're a minute over the hour.